Today's lessons of 2020 is from Esraela, a chat with Esraela. She is also one of the Fearless Creators. And you might ask, what is the Fearless Creators? Who are the Fearless Creators? Well, we're a group, a community of amazing human beings, fearlessly creating the world that we want to live in together. If you want to know how to become a member of the Fearless Creators community, the best way would be to contact me directly, and I'll chat to you about that. There'll be contact details at the bottom of this video, in the description somewhere, and also right at the end, I'll give you the website to go and have a look at. We really struggled with our Zoom connection in this interview today, but I'm sure I was able to splice together a really beautiful video for you. Expect a tiny glitch or two, but other than that, I think the video came out clear and beautiful. If you'd like to see more chats with amazing, interesting humans this year, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also the little icon of the bell. If you hit the bell icon, then new videos will show up right in your YouTube feed so you don't miss out on anything. So if you're ready, here is a chat with Esraela, and she's sharing what her lessons of 2020 was. Enjoy. I have been trying to figure out humans for 25 years now, and I have learned that we are not split into these two groups of being either good or bad people, but that we do find ourselves either operating from fear or operating from freedom, and that can lead down very different roads. Join me on this journey of discovering how to transcend fear and live a life of freedom. Right, good morning, Esraela. How are you?
Very well, and you?
Very, very good, thank you. So for anyone watching, on my screen, I see your Zoom screen as called Walter, and I'm guessing you're not Walter.
No.
So that
Husband's iPad.
So Walter is Esraela's husband, and that's why she's zooming in on Walter's Zoom screen today. Are you well?
Yes, of course I am.
So what I want to do at the start of this year is I really want to honor all of the Fearless Creators by having a quick chat with each one of you, because last year was 2020 was such an interesting, upside down, beautiful, crazy year, and I've seen so much growth in every one of the Fearless Creators that I wanted to start the year off by chatting to each one of you and finding out what your journey last year was like, what lessons you've taken from last year, what kind of growth you feel you've had last year, because I'm really inspired by every single one of you. And to make it really easy and to make it fun to start with, I want to just see how on top of last year you are. I'm going to give you a score out of 10 for how well you know what last year in the world was all about. So it's designed to be tricky, it's designed to be trick questions, and it's designed to not give you a 10 out of 10 score. So be prepared. So I'm going to give you 10 facts, 10 statements. And if you know what I'm talking about, say yes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, say no. And then if you want me to elaborate on any one of these world happenings last year, as soon as I'm done with all 10 of them, we can dive into one of them just because it's interesting. Right, are you ready? Your score out of 10. How well do you know 2020?
Yes.
Right, first one, murder hornets.
No.
Righto, that's good. Next one. The monkey stole the samples.
Not sure.
That's going to be a no on that one. It was a crazy year. These are all things that happened last year. The Pentagon's UFO footage.
Yes.
Righto. It's mind blowing to me how the world didn't freak out about aliens last year. just because that's how crazy the year was. Aliens was like sort of Australian
Oh, no.
Australian fires, not just a fun one, but the Australian fires was a big thing last year. Right.
Yes.
So that's a
Wow.
yes. Right. A very simple term here. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say toilet paper?
Yes.
What a crazy year. Okay, next one is
Definitely.
demon sperm.
Yes.
You actually do. Okay, righto. So yeah, very interesting one as well. Okay, this one I recently only realized, but the movie Home Alone makes you feel old. Do you know that Macaulay Culkin turned 40? The little boy from Home Alone turned 40. Did you know that?
Only because I watched Jeanette's video, but I was
But now
shocked
you do.
yesterday. I even said to Levi, can you believe it?
That little boy is 40 years old. That's yeah, it does make me feel old.
My almost, yeah, I'm a bit older than him. It's insane.
The Bolivian orchestra trapped in a German castle by wolves. Did you know about that one? What a
No.
crazy President Kanye West.
No.
Right, and the monolith. Do you know anything about the monolith?
No.
And that might also be part of the alien invasion our world is subjected to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 10. That's not bad. It means the rest, like the rest of us, you're a pretty human last year, and most of the craziness in the world didn't impact you too much.
What was the one about the wolf?
Right,
Which
so
was interesting.
it was really interesting. So the headlines make it sound much worse than it really is. But there's like a youth orchestra from Bolivia that toured Germany, and they were booked in to kind of live and perform in a German castle for a week or two. I'm not sure exactly how long it was going to be, but the performances were in this castle, and they were staying in this castle for the week or two. As they drove into the castle, their bus broke down, and they were joking like this is not a very good sign, a very good omen. They had to, as they drove into the castle, they drove through these thick woods. If you can picture in your mind the German Black Forest, and it wasn't in the Black Forest, but it was that kind of thick woods that they had to drive through to this eerie old German castle. Broke down as they entered the castle premises. Joked that this is a very bad omen. Maybe they'll be trapped in this castle forever and not escape because the bus is broken down. And then lockdown happened. Their whole performance, I think they didn't even do one performance. All their performances were cancelled. They were locked in a German castle, and these woods around the castle are infested by wolves. So every time they try to stick their heads out of the gate to go for a walk in the woods, they'd come upon these wolves and have to retreat back into the castle. So when I read the article, it said like for 75 days they've been stuck in this castle, and people have been driving up food to them, delivering food to them, and taking clothes to them because they were supposed to be there for a week or two.
Wow, that's insane.
What a crazy year.
Surely.
So right, let's dive into 2020. 2020 happened. This lockdown came really suddenly, really quickly, and suddenly so many people were stuck at home in ways they were not before, and not just like the whole family. Kids couldn't go to school. People had to try and work from home, and families were stuck together in home. Was there a new skill you learned while you and your family had to spend so much more time together under the same roof for such a long period of time? What new skill did that help you develop?
Meditations, which I wasn't familiar with at all, and I almost knew nothing about it. So that was a big one for me. Luckily, the online meditations and my new family and new support helped me immensely. And then also doing breathworks. Breathworks also helped a lot.
You mentioned that there was an online breathwork workshop that you were able to drop into. How do you think breathwork has helped you? What is it that breathwork does for you? Do you have a clear answer? And I know it's actually difficult to answer how breathwork helps, but do you have a clear answer on how breathwork? What does it do for you?
It's almost like a meditation, completely relaxes and calms me down, brings me into a totally different space.
It's pretty amazing when you speak to people about breath work. Very often, the feedback you get is someone saying, I've been breathing since the day I was born. I don't need to be taught how to breathe. But there are so many things about breathing that we can miss because we don't put attention on it. We kind of just breathe by default. And breathing by default and taking a conscious breath is two completely different things. What happens in your body chemistry is completely different when you pay attention to your breathing and take a few conscious breaths.
Totally, absolutely, Pierre. When I first met up with you, I was like a pretzel. For me, that Jedi mind course I did with you was incredible. That's why I have to do it again, just to wrap my head around it and learn it all again, because I'm sure there was loads I missed.
So I like the analogy that you made and saying you were like a pretzel. Is that kind of where you were at the start of last year? As 2020 started, as you stepped into the year, what kind of a space were you in at the start of the year?
Extremely, extremely anxious. Probably this major spinning. My motto for 2020 quickly became balance, because I felt I needed balance and I needed to calm down and I needed to align myself into my body, my mind, everything. That was a huge thing for me. I was just spinning, completely out of control. If something didn't change for me, yeah, who knows what have happened. Oh, I could have slipped back into panic attacks, or who knows.
Looking back at how you started the year with so much anxiety in a pretzel shape, and then having lockdown forced upon you, you've explained that you found yourself hooked into quite a bit of support. There was the online meditations, there was the breath work, there was our Fearless Creators group. You feel yourself having grown so much last year. What have you learned about you? What have you learned about yourself during the last year?
As long as I'm real and authentic, I'll always be okay. I'll always be in a good space. I own my breath now. I have got immense support. It's not just the Fearless Creators, it's other people that are connected within the Limitless Life group that have also supported me. And yeah, sure, it's just the encouragement from everyone is just everywhere. Once you begin to change and show kindness and love to everyone, it just never stops. You just feel kindness and love overflowing. It's overwhelming.
So I want to dive into what you're saying, being real and authentic. As long as you're being real and authentic, and those are easy words to say, but not necessarily such an easy thing to live. What does that mean? What do you mean by being real and authentic?
Means if you're crying, it's okay. You can just cry. If you're the screaming mom, it's okay. Accept where you are in life. Just totally surrender to it and just be okay. Totally be okay with what you are. Be as real as you can be.
You're mentioning this screaming mom, so I'd like to pause on that topic because I know how many moms really struggle with that, and I know how many moms feel like absolute crap because they found themselves screaming and yelling their heads off at their kids again after they promised themselves they won't do that again, and they feel so crappy about being the screaming mom again. And that's the reason I'd like to pause on that because I know how real that is, and I know how many mommies struggle with that. Um, so
Oh,
I'd like you to say a bit more about that.
I used to feel like I was this utter monster, just unapproachable, was just never there, was running on almost like a robot until I found this sense of calm within myself where I'm just peaceful. And it's not always like that. Human again. It's just totally human to scream and shout at your children as you sometimes do. And I just tell them, when mom does that, just say, focus, be conscious. And that helps me a lot, that my kids understand that I don't mean to, but it just happens. Just, yeah, you just snap, you just lose it. They don't always listen, and it's just challenging. It's probably the most challenging thing ever is having kids.
That's very true. Having kids is one of the most challenging things you can put yourself through because they're relentless. There's no break from it. If you have a job or is anything else you do, there's a break from it. But from having kids, there's no break.
Exactly. I used to have all the time in the world. I could spend a whole day reading a book. Here comes motherhood, and you think, where am I supposed to find time to do anything?
Doesn't happen anymore. Sorry, you've lost that right. You've lost that privilege. So I want to touch on something you said there because and
Yep,
create
absolutely.
a little bit of clarity on this subject. Is you're saying sometimes it happens. A mommy loses her mind, screams and yells at the kids, and that's okay. And I want to shine a light of clarity on that because leaving it at that, saying that's okay, kind of makes it sound like that's okay. Keep screaming at them, and I'm sure that's not exactly what you mean. So you you mentioned that you asked your kids when they see you're in this space and you lose it and you start screaming and yelling. Have you spoken to them about how you want them to understand where you are at in that space and how they can actually help you?
Yes, especially with the eldest son, Levi, whose birthday was yesterday. He often tells me, be conscious, because he's very aware of that, and they often bring me to the present moment. When I'm spinning, my 4 year old often used to tell me, come outside. And you're like in a total state. That's the last thing. You just want to carry on being however you be. You don't know how to just snap out of it. You've been triggered and you just turned into this crazy mom. So they'd calm you down and you'd say, look up, look at the sky. It's the biggest cloud I've ever seen. And straight away, boom, back to being present again.
So that
Yeah.
do they actually do that? Does Levi say, "Mom, remember to be present," and does Rocco say, "Mom, let's go outside"? And does that actually help, or does it trigger you more?
In the beginning, I used to still get cross. How dare you say I'm not conscious? So more of it. Then when Rocco brought the sky to my look up, and you just instantly relax and you become present. Now I've realized even when someone triggers me, it's okay. I'm learning. It's okay to be triggered by something else because I'm in a space where I know I'm always okay. Yeah, I always only liked to be happy. It was fun and exciting, thrilling to always be in a happy space. I had to learn to be okay in any space. I'm in a total meltdown, whether I'm having a day or okay. Thanks to you, Pierre, for the many phone calls. And can you just be there? Are you okay to just be with whatever? It's taught me to appreciate the so-called bad days.
Do you think, or do you experience that being happy, always being happy, might have also just been some kind of a way of escaping what's really happening, escaping the reality that you need to face? Do you think being happy could be a way to avoid dealing with reality?
Hmm.
And this is specifically that being fake happy. Nothing's wrong.
No,
I'm
I
happy.
don't
I'm
think
happy.
so. Oh, absolutely. Yes, you're in denial. You're even lying to yourself. I was. My friends, when I had my so-called, when all of this started and I was sharing a lot more on Facebook of how I was feeling, a lot of my friends couldn't understand because they've always just known me as a happy, positive person. So for them, it was quite strange that I was going through things. Yeah, I wasn't dealing with my mom's death because I'd avoided mourning. I'd avoided so much. You just in total denial. I didn't want to accept anything. So yeah, it's easy to just pretend you're okay, but when you start to really do the work and do realize that yes, I was traumatized as a child. My sister might not feel it. We're all different. We all cope with
Yes.
different ways.
Yeah.
It's when you change yourself that you are able to accept everyone and accept everything. Now my sister doesn't even trigger me anymore. I just see the awesomeness in her.
Wow. That is so powerful. Because we do struggle
Yeah.
most with our immediate family or our closest family, especially our siblings. Is generally what we struggle the most with. But I see a lot more clearly right now why you're saying your biggest lesson from yourself, the biggest thing you learned about you, was to be real, because there were so many years of faking being happy.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You're a teenager. When my mom passed away, I was 22, so didn't want to deal with anything. I just wanted to booze my life away, enjoy myself. So I thought I was in a happy, good place until I had to actually deal with everything. I couldn't no longer escape my life. I couldn't escape my life. Constantly wanting to be everywhere, wanting to be a successful person. No, I've got children. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I had to accept my everything, accept my life, accept myself, learn to love myself. It came as a huge shock to me that I didn't love myself. Massive, huge, huge shock.
I'm so happy that that is something that did become clear to you, that I realize I don't love myself, because it's a huge part of our healing. And if we don't realize deeply that I'm in a space of just not loving myself, then you can't find that connection and that healing. How 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 have you
Uh,
improved on that front? Has there been much change, or do you sometimes struggle with the same thing still?
Sometimes I still struggle. I'll still clean like an obsessive, crazy person before I even drink a glass of water. I have to pack the dishes, then I have to hoover. By the time I realized what I've been doing, I'm like, what about me? Can I just drink a glass of water? Can I love myself a bit? just a bit. Still very much practicing absolutely everything. 2021 is the year for me that I want to just easily start to flow.
Right.
And I know that even that is hard, because you have to accept, and then you have to surrender to life, and then you start to flow.
Well, yes, it feels to me like life always says, especially if you've learned a lot, there's a period when all of this might be new, and you dive into, it's kind of when we realize what I thought I knew was all wrong. So maybe I need to learn different things. And then we dive into this space of learning. And it feels like life gives us that space to learn and learn and learn and learn, but then it feels as though there's a transition in life, in the universe, saying, okay, well, now you've learned. That means nothing if you can't put it into practice. So now put what you've learned into practice.
Yep, I had to learn that my beliefs were incorrect. My truth isn't really the truth. It's just a perception. Learn the real truths. Yeah.
So beautiful lessons.
I wasn't even aware about my crazy patterns. Yeah, incredible lessons to actually see yourself repeating patterns and being able to know where you need help is amazing.
Well, being able to see yourself repeating patterns feeds beautifully into what you said you learned about you. Be real and authentic, and then you added to that, you don't need to be afraid about being real and authentic. And it's that combination, being real and authentic, and not being afraid to be real and authentic. It's only in that space that you're afforded the space to see your patterns as they're unfolding. Otherwise, we're unaware of those patterns. But it's because you become unafraid that you start seeing.
Yes, realizing that when people say certain things to you and the way they react to you, it's got absolutely nothing to do with you. It's just where they're at, it's their things, and you just have to keep on being yourself. If I like to paint myself and act wild and crazy, that's really that's me.
And even showing up at
I love to be covered in paint.
And even showing up at school, picking up your kids covered in paint?
Absolutely, and going shopping covered in paint. And then sometimes the kids ask me, why have you got so much paint on? And I'm like, why don't you have paint on? It's so much fun.
That is a huge lesson to learn in the way you said it, that the way other people perceive you or how they react to you is their story. It's the filters they're seeing the world through. It's got nothing to do with you. It's all where they are at. It's a huge lesson to learn. Do you find that you have to often kind of relearn that and remind yourself again and again? Because we often find ourselves again reacting to someone else's opinion, and we have to kind of remind ourselves again.
Yeah, that was a huge learning thing for me. My in-laws have got their own perceptions of me, and I have to keep on just being me, realizing no matter what I do, they're never fully going to maybe accept me because of their own beliefs, and I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. That's okay. I won't be liked by everyone. That's okay.
We really need to come to terms with that before we can be happy.
Yep.
So speaking about other people, what is something you learned about people? What is something you learned about other people in 2020?
They're lovable. They're amazing. They're very, very kind. I've been overwhelmed with happiness and new connections, new friendships. I'm friends with people I don't even know that live in Cape Town. It's just insane. And they feel like they're right beside me. The friendships are real and people are real. Love is real.
Oh yes. Once you can connect to the love within yourself, it makes it so much easier and almost obvious to recognize that same source of love in other humans as well, even when they're in a not so great space and they're showing you a mask. If you're connected to the love inside of you, you see through that mask to the love inside of them.
Definitely. Then you can help them out of their darkness by being yourself.
That is the key. That is the key. Every one of us doubling down on who we are is in service to the people around us. Right, so I'm going to finish up with one thing. One question. I want you to use a bit of imagination here. You know how as the earth turns, it catches the sun, and some places go out of darkness and out of night into morning. And if you look at the earth from something like the space station, you can see how that shadow, that darkness shifts on the earth. So as the earth turns, dark spaces become light as it sees the sunlight. Now imagine as that turns, you're able to have a giant floating billboard above the earth that becomes visible as the sun rises. It becomes visible and it keeps moving with the earth that way, so that everywhere in the world, as the sun rises, people were able to look up and see this billboard with a big message from Esraela on this big billboard. So every morning, sun rises and they see this billboard with the sun. What would that message on that billboard be?
Yep. The message is love. Love yourself first. And always show kindness to yourself. If you're not kind to yourself and loving towards yourself, you just won't be kind or loving to others.
What a huge message, and I'm hearing that message echoing so many times when I speak to people, that realization that if it doesn't come from love, if we don't put love first, then we get caught up in fighting for everything, fighting for what we're trying to create. And it's only when we double down on love being our ultimate truth, basing all of our decisions first on love, that we find we can still create. We can still create powerfully, but not from fighting, from flow. And it's a complete difference, creating from fighting and creating from flow.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your 2020 with us. I really enjoyed the chat, and I think that we have enough good footage here that was not glitched for me to put together a beautiful video. Thank you for being willing to share so much.
Thank you, Pierre. You are all the magic. And everybody's teaching me how special and how magical they are. And then you feel magic and special too.
That is so true. When we put that focus, it's something I try and teach my son Auden all the time, is when you're dealing with people, the better you are at it showing them how amazing they are, the more they'll react to the amazingness in you. You don't have to go around telling people how great you are. Put the spotlight on them and show them how amazing they are, and your amazingness will shine. Thank you so much for your time. Wishing you all the best for 2021. May this year just lead you to more growth and to applying all the lessons that you've learned.
Thank you so much, Pierre.
Have a beautiful day. Chat to you again soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
What a powerful message for 2021. double down on love. Make love your highest value. And if you do, you will learn that you can create by fighting, and fighting for every little scrap and fighting for everything that you're trying to create. But you can also create from flow. And creating from flow is not anywhere near as exhausting as creating from fighting. Is your personal growth on your radar this year? If it is, go and have a look at my website right here, onemindonline.com. Have a look at the website, sign up for the daily email. There's an inspirational daily email for you for free. Maybe have a look at the daily meditation. I lead a guided meditation for free every day. Anyone can sign up and come and join us. If you want to, you can sign up for the Fearless Creators, become a member of the Fearless Creators. The best way is probably to just send me a message directly and I'll chat to you about that. And then if you look at the events tab on the website, the next event coming up, and it might be a different event when you see this video, but right now the next event is called Jedi Mind. Jedi Mind is a 4-week online program that helps you create a daily practice that teaches your nervous system how to de-escalate when you're under pressure, when you're under stress, and also at the same time build a nervous system that is a lot more resilient, a nervous system that is less sensitive to fear and less sensitive to stress. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to see more videos of conversations with interesting and amazing people this year, remember to hit the subscribe button. And also the button of the little bell, the icon of the bell. That means you won't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. Have a beautiful day. See you again soon. Ciao, ciao.